What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. So between Will McDonald the fourth, Jermaine Johnson the second, there are early signs here that we may be looking at a dynamic duo, two superstar pass rushers on the same team, which is something that's very foreign for us as fans within the last couple decades, right? John Abraham being the last successful edge guy to go out there and really make waves for us. And in a league where it's hard to find one, us having two, and I'm talking like potentially guys that could be in that top tier mold, it's unfathomable, right? I mean, when we walked into this offseason, I was looking at Carl Lawson recovering, having another year removed from that ACL, and thinking this could be our double-digit sack guy after a very underrated season last year. This offseason and this preseason specifically, in terms of the actual games, it's looking like Will McDonald IV can be a significant part of an early rotation in the defensive line, and Jermaine Johnson looks like he's taken that ever elusive second step that we've seen so many other promising pass rushers not take. Now, when I look at them, Will McDonald IV, he had a lot of, we call him Bryce Huff 2.0 for a reason, right? A lot of similarities in between what Bryce Huff offers and what he could still potentially be as a younger player. Jermaine Johnson, he's a guy that's an older player for his position as a rookie, and he's taken the harder path in life, but he's shown elite physical traits and the mental aptitude to be able to overcome a lot of trials and tribulations. So, you know, Will McDonald coming out of college, we love the spin move. We love the other arsenal of, rips and his ability to bend the edge. And we know he was played out of position. We know he's not going to be elite against the run, at least early in his career. But he has the makings of being a pass rushing specialist right out of the gate. And I say that to mean his sack range was probably going to be between 6 and 8 snaps. 6 and 8 sacks, as long as he had a decent amount of pass rush opportunities, right? With Jermaine Johnson, he was coming out still pretty raw at his position, but coming out of FSU, his final year, he put on a clinic and showed that he can combine his elite physical traits with the few decent pass rush moves that he had. But you saw, if you went bigger picture, that he could be a dominant force as a strong run defender and a guy that can hopefully develop as a pass rusher. This year, and by the way, people know that we're following me since the draft. Jermaine Johnson was a guy I didn't want to take with our 4th or 10th pick in the first round. He was a guy that I thought was going to be a later round 1 prospect, maybe early day 2. And the biggest knock that I seen on him was that he didn't really have the pass rush instincts per se, but more so the pass rush plan and moves to be able to pull things off. He just kind of athleted his way into sacks, or there was the occasional matchup where he just dominated from start to finish. But that seems to be far behind him. We've seen him string plenty of moves together. He's looked like he's even more explosive than he was coming out of college. And you combine all of that with the fact that he's been around some pass rushers that have done it at a significantly high level for a year now. And he attacked the offseason with a lot of grit and determination. So super excited to see what he ultimately ends up becoming. Now, let's go off of the recency bias. Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson in this Carolina Panthers game. Michael Nania did a breakdown for us in Jets X Factor. So unofficial, but generally pretty trustworthy in terms of what we're seeing here, right? So Will McDonald, he got 18 snaps. He won 5 of his pass rush opportunities out of 11. That netted him a sack, a quarterback hit, and 2 hurries against the quarterback, which for those series of plays ultimately meant that Carolina gained -5 yards because they didn't complete any passes and he got the sack. Versus Jermaine Johnson, 12 snaps, he had 9 pass rush opportunities. He got 2 pressures, a sack, a quarterback hit, and he stuffed 2 out of his 3 runs when he was in a run defense fit. So Jermaine Johnson's still showing all of his elite run stopping ability with the added addition of looking like a monster as a pass rusher now. And it's such a significant step for him because literally what we saw last year was still mostly what we got from him out of college, right? The sack that everybody loves was the one against quarterback Josh Allen where he broke containment. He ran out to the outside. He was able to chase him down. But that was a play where, if I recall, he didn't have somebody directly lined up over him, so he didn't really have to beat somebody off of the line of scrimmage. And I think he may have kind of been expecting I don't know, maybe something different, right? It didn't really look like he was being sent out on a blitz or anything. So he was able to just kind of sit, be patient. Once he saw Josh Allen on the move, it became a read and react type situation, and he made the play happen, which was excellent for us because that's exactly what we heard Robert Saleh during the One Jets Drive documentary mention. We wanted to grab an elite speed guy that could be a strong pass rusher because we have all of these run-oriented quarterbacks within our division, and he's proven it. But ultimately, both of these guys have shown so much. Carl Lawson sitting out has kind of been the best thing for Jermaine Johnson because he's got a bunch of extra run with the first team defense. And aside from that, it's given him more opportunities than maybe he would have generally had if Carl Lawson was in the rotation. Same thing with Will McDonald, having the luck of him being able to get plenty of preseason snaps. And by the way, a lot of what people say, I try to pay attention to. The fact that he made good from the Browns game to the Panthers game about, making sure he was going to get to the quarterback, it didn't fall on deaf ears with me. But Will McDonald is phenomenal in his own right. The spin move, a lot of people, even if you have it in college, it's hard to see that translate to the NFL. He's made it work. In this specific game against the Panthers, he was able to pull that move out of his trick bag to get to the quarterback twice, one of those resulting in the sack. So the biggest plus there is that he has that rip move already. He has the spin move. He has the bend around the edge. But this gives him the opportunity to play the tackle inside the shoulder or outside the shoulder. He can, force people to have to account for him being able to get inside their body and take a quicker path to the quarterback. And if so, it opens him up to be able to use that track speed and get around to the other side. And a lot of the explosiveness that we've seen so far has shown up with him being able to go out here and attack these quarterbacks. So I couldn't be happier with the earlier returns from both of these guys. Realistically, we didn't really need as much them showing, displaying what we're seeing right now. I was perfectly fine assuming that Carl Lawson, Quentin Williams, and Bryce Huff would have been the top three guys, but there's a realistic scenario here where Jermaine Johnson is our sack leader for this season, and Will McDonald follows that up with potentially a 10-sack season if he can break into borderline starter rotation snaps. So we'll see how high the sun rises for them. Obviously, all of us are, looking at this through rose-colored glasses at the moment. But there hasn't really been a lot of negatives whatsoever displayed by either of these two. It's pretty impressive that Will McDonald is already showing this as a rookie when you compare it to what we've seen from Jermaine Johnson last year. But either way, this coaching staff needs to be praised because they are developing these guys at an insane rate. Tony Adams, Will McDonald, Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff is being a pure pass rusher in and of itself. It is very impressive with what he's doing. Quentin Williams looking like he's going from underrated to overrated. We talked about this on the Jets Flight Squad podcast. These guys could contribute a key piece to us maybe eclipsing 70 sacks this season and breaking our own personal record. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on it. I try to be as objective as possible, but I'm not going to lie. On this particular subject, I'm all for the positivity. But either way, too quick to tell what we have with both of these guys, or do you think this will translate into the regular season? Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.